Welcome to this introduction of how to sketch your business process and workflow with a web-based collaborative diagramming tool, Lucidchart. If you haven't found the website already, open the site www.lucidchart.com in your browser and click on Try It Now. The diagramming tool will open immediately in your browser with a blank canvas for you to draw on. But before you start drawing, you should save the canvas, just in case your browser would crash, and in that case you will lose your unsaved work. In order to save your document, you need to sign up. But don't worry, it doesn't cost you anything if you settle for the free account, which is quite sufficient for what we are about to do in this exercise. The free account gives you full functionality of the diagramming tool during a 14-day trial period. After that, you can move up to a paid account or stay with a free account. You will always have access to the documents you have created during the free trial, but you won't be able to edit documents that contain more than 60 objects. And you can't check revision history, import or export documents, do mind mapping, and so forth. Check the pricing page at lucidchart.com for more information. And this is how you do it. Click on the Sign Up Free button. And then click on the Sign Up button on the Free Account column. Enter your name and your email address. And enter a password of your choosing that you're happy with. And click on Register. Once you've signed up, you're ready to start plotting your process. On the left, you have all the shapes and objects that you use to build your process. They're sorted in different sections like flowcharts, containers, and other shapes, but there are a lot more shapes to choose from. You just click on the More Shapes button in the left-hand corner at the bottom of the screen, and an extended library of shapes appear. In the Shapes library, you have different categories of shapes like software, business, flowchart, etc. You add a section just by flipping the on and off button. If you're going to plot a business process, you probably need the BPMN section. It contains objects that represent common business activities like tasks and transactions. Now, let's add this section, like flipping the on and off button, and click Save. The added shapes appear in the Shapes toolbar. Okay, let's begin drawing. In this example, I'm going to sketch a mobile process application for a technical site evaluation using only SMS messages and web forms, in which Mobile Response Service will serve as the messaging and integration platform. Start by plotting the first event and/or task in the workflow. You can also plot the process backwards, starting with the endpoint of the process, like for instance a report. If you're unfamiliar with the diagramming shapes, just hover your cursor above the objects and you'll get a short description of what the objects or shapes represent. There are, for instance, shapes for starting and endpoints. You'll find these in the BPMN section that you have just added. Click on the start point shape and drag it onto the canvas somewhere to the left. And you just release it by letting go of the mouse button. When you do, the title of the shape highlights, and you can just give it another name like Start, for instance, and press Return. And when you do, there's a short menu that pops up as well, so you can give the event more information like what kind of event it is. And when you've finished, you just click on the Close button on the short menu, and it disappears. If you want to see the short menu again, just click on the information symbol above the event and it pops up again. And if you want to change the name of the event, just double click the text and retype and press Return. Now you want to plot the first task in the workflow. Move the cursor to one of the connecting points or outline of the start point object until it transforms into a black cross. Press down the mouse button and hold it down while you draw a connecting line to the next shape that you want to plot. Release the mouse button and choose a shape from the menu that appears. In this case, I choose the task symbol. A good starting point in a technical site evaluation application is to have an automated SMS message with phone number and location sent to your server application from the field engineer's mobile phone on arrival at the site. To illustrate this, I write field engineer on site inside the task object and press return. If you want to change the text later, just double-click on the text, retype and press return. Click on the information symbol if you want to add properties like task types, activity marker, etc. You can even change the object's activity property from task to transaction, event subprocess, or call activity. When you finish, close the menu. Now you have to pick a shape from the flowchart toolbar in order to draw the message flow, which can be illustrated with the document object. Click on the document object and drag it onto the canvas underneath the field engineer on site event. To connect the two objects, hover the cursor over the engineer on site event and click on the lower connecting dot and draw the line down to the upper connecting dot on the document object. Release the mouse button when the connecting dot lights up with a purple aura. This indicates that the two objects are connected. And why is this important then? Well, if you want to move or rearrange objects, you'll want the connections to remain intact, like this. See? Now I have to add some text inside the document object explaining what the message flow is all about. The next step in the workflow could be an SMS request for a test form. For instance, the engineer can text RA to a designated telephone number requesting an evaluation form. To illustrate this, I pick the decision object from the flowchart shape library and write request test evaluation inside the object. Now, if the text won't fit inside the default shape, you just enlarge it by pulling out the little rectangular boxes around the object, like this. The decision object is commonly used in process and flowcharts to illustrate crossroads or what-if scenarios. In this example, we need the decision object to handle two scenarios. The engineer either sends the SMS request code or he/she doesn't. Both scenarios trigger different events or jobs to be executed. If the SMS request code is sent, a link to a questionnaire form is returned via SMS. If the engineer fails to send the request, an SMS message is sent out reminding him or her to request the form. Drawing these two scenarios and events can look like this. You can add text and explanations to the connection lines by double-clicking on the line and start typing. And you can put more than one paragraph on one line. And when you connect a decision box, like in this case, the words yes and no are inserted by default. But I want to be more specific, so I write SMS code on the upper line and no request on the lower line. You can also change the direction of the line's flow by selecting the line and clicking on the button Switch Line Ending in the toolbar above the canvas. And you can easily change the line's thickness, color, opacity, and a lot more in the toolbar or in the graphic dialog box. And let's change it back to the right flow direction. And you can change the outline of the line by clicking on one of these buttons. So I change it to a more suitable outline. To get more space to draw on, you can change the orientation of the canvas by choosing Page, and page settings, page layout, and choose landscape. As you can see, I have finished the workflow plotting for the technical site evaluation application in order to speed up this tutorial. I'll just walk you through it quickly before we move on to the next step. When the engineer receives the SMS containing the link to the web form, he or she fills out the form in the phone's web browser. The data gets stored in a database, either in the cloud or in-house. In the return, the engineer receives an Excel report with the evaluation, which also ends the process. If the web form is not filed, either because no request has been sent or because the engineer has forgotten to fill in the form, an SMS message is sent out requesting him or her to fill in the form manually. There is also a message sent out explaining how it all works, in order to smoothen the process for next time. Some logic code illustrated in the merge object, you can see down here, compares the check-in statuses at the sites with the report filings to identify unfiled reports. As you probably have already noticed, all the work you do in Lucidchart is being saved automatically in the background. But to be on the safe side, I recommend you to save your document continuously while working on it. When you have finished plotting your process, it is time to share it with us so that we can review your process and suggest the best possible solution for you. There are a few ways to do this. You can either convert and download the process chart as a PDF or an image file and email it to us. Or you can share it with us via Lucidchart's sharing function, which would enable us to collaborate more efficiently. If you use this function, we'll be able to edit and post comments inside your chart. It's very easy to share. You just click Share, Invite, and enter our email address information@mobileresponse.com, and you set the administration rights to can edit. You can choose can view, can comment, and so forth, but we prefer can edit. And then just click on Send Invitation. If you want, you can make a copy of the chart with a different name so that this version will remain unchanged. But Lucidchart has a revision history functionality, so we can always revert back to an earlier version of the document. If you prefer to download the document as a PDF or an image, pull down the File menu and choose Download As. And you can choose PDF or PNG or JPEG if you want, and just click Download. And then email the file to the same address. There's one more thing that I need to show you before we finish. To get to your documents, you just click on the Lucidchart's logo and you choose Back to Documents. And here you find all your documents and your folders. And if you want to create a new document, you just click on Create. And you can use different templates to create a new chart. And if you want to go back to an old one, you just double click it. And that will be all for now. You can find more information on how to use Lucidchart in the site's tutorial section. Good luck and have fun with your process plotting.